9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Hope everybody's having a good start to their week. We have Ken and Ashley from Sledgehammer Horror here with us tonight. So we're definitely going to be talking horror. But before we get to that, if you want to listen to our show and you don't want to watch Joel, we are now on Apple Podcast and Spotify. So
nice.
We're all good. So how are you guys doing tonight?
We're good.
Doing great.
Yeah.
Excited to be here. We've been looking forward to it for a couple weeks now. So thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to be on.
Yeah. No, thank you for giving us your time. I appreciate it. We both appreciate it. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, like we said, we're pretty laid back, but tell us about you guys and like how you got started doing the whole, YouTube and my first horror movie and all that, because I love it.
I mean, it was really your baby at first.
All right. So I'm gonna make a long story short. My mom and dad owned a video store when I was growing up, called Downtown Video in our hometown, a little mom and pop shop. And my first horror movie is something I've been doing since I was like 11. It was like a party game, like talking to people around the bonfire, drinking a beer. What was the first horror movie you watched? Something we've always been into. And when the big C hit.
Wait, you were drinking beer at 11?
Well, yeah, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Who wasn't?
Okay. Put hair
40 ounces, buddy.
Yeah. Playing Edward 40
hands.
Mad Dog and all that stuff.
Old English. Colt 45.
When the big C hit, Ashley was like, "You're annoying the hell out of me, being around me all the time. Why don't you figure something out?" And I just started the channel, and I started asking people if they'd like to be on to talk about their first horror movie. And finally I told Ashley, she was coming up with these ideas for other segments to do.
Yeah, I'm the introvert here, and I was like, I'll help you, but I don't want to be on camera. Like, I'm not into that. Yeah. And so he was like, come be on camera with me. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Sorry. And he kind of convinced me.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, she kept writing these great ideas. Like our segments that you see, didn't see that coming versus... she was writing these segments and wanting me to do them, and I'm like, listen, I'll do them, but you have to do them with me. So if you watch any of our stuff on YouTube, like I didn't see that coming or a versus, she wrote those. Yeah. Like she does all the writing.
Watch the newer ones.
Yeah, watch the newer ones. But she kills it, man. And I was just like, I will do these. I have no problem doing them because the writing is absolutely fucking phenomenal. Oh, can we cuss?
Yeah, that's right. Fuck yeah. Okay. It's called Well That Fucking Figures.
Yeah. She was like, I was just enjoying her writing so much. And I was like, I'm telling you, I want to do these, but the only way I'll do them is if you come on and do them with me. Like, I want people to put a face to the brilliance that you have with your writing.
Yeah, I'm good on that. But...
It took a while to convince her. It really did. But I'm glad that it's always been a team effort between us, but I'm glad that we made it official with her on camera so that people can realize the brilliance that she has. And I'm the guy that bullshits the whole time, and she's the one that's very scripted, very factual.
I just like to look up facts. Like, I like to know my stuff, and
I'm the one that's just like, sure.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Well, whatever you're doing, it's working because you have some really entertaining YouTube videos. And I'm not just saying that because you're here. I watch them. I've been watching them. I watched your favorite horror movies up to 99 earlier today. And it's just fun. I mean, I love horror. Horror and Star Wars are my two favorites.
Sure.
So this is like, I mean,
I grew up a big Star Wars fan too, man. So she's not into the Star Wars universe. That's over her head.
Over my head.
No, I'm saying like that's below. I don't want to say below you. Shit's on him.
But. No, it's just it's not my thing.
Yeah, it's not her cup of tea. Yeah. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I think Han Solo is my spirit animal. I absolutely adore the Star Wars franchise. So I dig it, man. I'm glad that you're into that too. And I think that horror and Star Wars fans, for the most part, they really do go hand in hand because it's such a passion. Because I mean, like you look at Star Wars, Star Trek, they have conventions based all around them. Horror that has conventions based all around them.
Yeah.
I feel like the comic book fans, Star Wars, Star Trek, horror, like they all have this mutual respect and love for each other because we know, even if it's not our thing, we know the amount of passion that you have behind what you're doing too, because we feel that for our thing. So
Exactly.
that's why I love comic book fans. I love Star Wars fans. I love Star Trek fans. Obviously, I love horror fans. Even if there's certain things that they do that I'm not into, I respect it, man, because you have the love and the passion that I have.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's great being able to talk to someone else that's into Star Wars like I am, because I can't do that at home.
Yeah, it's definitely like I'm the same way. And my wife doesn't like it, so I usually watch it alone or whatever. She'll watch some of them, but she's like snoozing before the first 5 minutes are over.
She'll be like, I'll watch it if that little fucking Yoda's there.
If Grogu's there, he's cute, then she'll stay awake a little longer.
You
but
forced our son to like it, so you would have like a partner.
I did. Me and my son went and seen episode 7, 8, and 9 together, so that way I could have somebody watching it. And that was cool. He got into it. I don't hate 7 and 8, 9, and like the rest of everybody else does. I'm not gonna say they're as good as 4, 5, and 6, but I think they're miles better than 1 and 2. I know that'll give me some hate.
I didn't like 8. I thought 8 was like a big waste of time. But I don't know who I was talking about this with, but I can't believe we haven't got. Dave's brought this up just now. A Star Wars horror like crossover type thing, zombies or something. I am surprised we have not gotten like a horror Star Wars film yet. That would be cool.
I would be all in on that.
I mean, Return of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith have so many horror elements in them. Like they could totally do a horror Star Wars story.
I mean, look at Darth Maul. He looks sick. I mean, he looks evil. I mean, yeah.
Revenge of the Sith, like they killed children in that movie, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, exactly.
And watching Anakin, like the whole like his turn, like my gosh. Oh, I'm getting so pat. Ashley's like, yeah. I'm like, where's Baby Yoda?
Oh, like look at this. Like Dave said, let me click on this one. This is a good idea too. A horde of zombie stormtroopers. I love stormtroopers. Everything in my room is pretty much stormtroopers.
The only problem with that is if it's a stormtrooper, it would miss every time it would try to bite a human. So if it's a stormtrooper human, it can't shoot. But if it's a stormtrooper zombie, it won't be able to bite. It'll just keep
plus you'd have to look like Wrecker though, like from Bad Batch with the teeth. Yes. Then you'd be able to bite. That'd be a little easier that way. But you're right. For a lot of us, like for me, I'll be 50 in July, and I grew up on. I was alive for all the Star Wars. Like I was there when it came out, like a few years later, obviously I don't remember watching them because I was 4, but watching them with my, with my friends or my father or whoever. And those and horror movies that I probably shouldn't have been watching back then, but my parents were a little lenient. I was watching Friday the 13th when I was 7, 8 years old. And it was okay back then. You didn't really worry about someone grown to be a serial killer because they're watching that movie like they do now. But
you don't even want to get me started.
It was fun.
Yeah. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I really do. I think that, again, I'm no psychiatrist by any stretch of the imagination, but
I think it makes you more well-rounded. Like, when you're a child and you see this thing stuff at a young age, that it's not real. It makes you. As
long as you're educated about it.
Yeah.
As long as you have somebody there to educate you, I feel like you do. I feel like you're more grounded in reality because you're learning the difference
this isn't real.
between fantasy and reality. Right. Yeah. You're learning those differences if you're watching it at a young age and you're getting the education. It's like, Mortal Kombat. Shut the hell up, man. Like that's this.
I think like usually whatever's in there is in there from the beginning. You don't get it from watching a movie. But luckily, I had parents that, all right, you can watch it, but just realize this is just a movie.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. What it is.
You had the education to go along with it.
I was lucky enough to have that. Yes. For sure.
They were just like, you're not sleeping in my room. You can watch this, but you're sleeping in your own bed.
Right. My mom was the opposite. My mom was like, everything you see is real, and if you fuck up, I'm gonna send you to Camp Crystal Lake.
Right.
I'll tell you the truth though. I didn't want to go to a camp, like a boys' camp or anything, because of that. I was like, oh no, I'm done. I'm not going there. No boys.
I do want to say, I saw you were popping the comments up. We are doing this on a phone, so we can't see the comments. But everybody in the comments, hello. Thank you for stopping in and watching.
Yeah, if they have a question, we'll pop it on. We'll read it out loud. That way you'll know what's going on. So
I forgot to mention too, Duffman Dioramas has been waiting 24 hours for this because he was in there yesterday and I forgot to change it. And I was like, oh no, just hang out. We'll be there soon. So he's been waiting 24 hours. So let's give him a round of applause.
I hope we don't let you down, man.
Yeah.
He's also a big supporter of ours. He's here almost every week, and we appreciate that. He also
That's
has,
awesome, man.
Yeah.
if you're into dioramas of any sort, check out his Instagram because he does some awesome work. So I would put a
Shoot
little
us a
plug
message
in
on
for him.
Instagram at Sledgehammer Horror. I would love to see what you do.
For sure.
Yep. Definitely. Duffman, you hear that? You got some people that want to check your stuff out. So
Absolutely.
cool.
We love watching what if you're making any type of art, we want to see it. Even if it's not for us, you know, like people like The Exorcist 2 for some stupid reason. Even if it's not for us, we appreciate that people are making art and we hope that it gets support from whoever its fan base is.
Oh, yeah.
So going back to Star Wars, you said, you know, what you did like. What's your favorite besides the initial 3 from the 70s and 80s? Do you have a favorite like that they made like a prequel or? Okay.
Oh, episode 3. Like I think that's the horror fan in me. There's so much darkness. If we're talking about the original 3, obviously The Empire Strikes Back. Like that's that to me is just perfection. Like that movie is the best, probably the best non-horror sequel I think of all time. I think that it's sad. I think that it leaves you wondering what the hell. Like that's the perfect way to do a cliffhanger. You know, the way that they ended Empire was so good. Yeah, but Sith again, the horror fan in me. I love the darkness that comes along with that.
Yeah, I agree. I do like that one too, and I brought that up a few weeks ago, and I got a lot of shit for it. But I'm like, I like that one.
Absolutely love it.
But my favorite is Rogue One. But like, a lot of people won't pick Sith. A lot of people will not pick that movie for some odd reason. But
I don't know what it is. Like I said, I think it's the horror fan in me.
Yeah.
I think that even if you count Jedi, I think that Sith is the darkest one in the whole franchise of the whole 9. And that's counting Jedi. I think Sith is so much darker watching your hero turn, you know, and even though it's become a meme, you know, you were the chosen one. Like that was just like heartbreaking when you knew it was happening. You knew it was going to happen. And it was still tearing you apart to watch it happen. You know, brother turn on brother. You know, you were supposed to stop them, not join them. Like, oh, dude, it's amazing. So fantastic. Yeah. Please watch this movie with me just one time.
We'll see.
And see, that's the kind of things they don't do much anymore. They don't leave you for a cliffhanger anymore, you know, like, because I'm a big wrestling fan too. And even on wrestling, they don't do that a lot anymore. So they have certain parts they do that, but not a whole lot. But I want to be able to, I want to be able to not be able to wait till next week for the next show. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't get that these days. But Duffman also, he said, I know you can't see this, so I'll read it to you. He said, I guess he did a Captain Spaulding Museum and gas station diorama for NECA figures. It was pretty awesome. 4 foot wide, 75 LED lights.
Yeah, he's into all the horror stuff like we are and everything.
No, that's awesome, man. Please send us a message on Instagram. I would love to check your stuff out. Because we've been looking into trying to do a little bit more Sledgehammer merch with, you know, family owned and operated people. So if we could do some stuff with you, I would love to be able to work with you. I feel like we have more success, even personally, when we work with people that we're fans of, rather than just giving it to a company like, hey, make us a bunch of t-shirts. You know what I mean? Like,
no, that's
if we could get like
that is a good idea.
If I could get something to hang on my wall.
That's a great idea.
Please send me a message on Instagram. I would love to check out what
a better idea is me and Colin get 10%, and I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking with you. I don't want to.
I was just talking about
well, that figures.
Yeah. I was just talking about that. There's so many independent like people on Instagram just making amazing whatever they're making.
Well, and like I said, I grew up with my mom and dad owning a mom and pop video store, Downtown Video, and there was a video connection and a Blockbuster Video in the same town. You know, so you're watching what these people are doing to your small mom and pop. And we were lucky though; we did gold and silver exchange and baseball cards there too. They had like a trading and stuff. Oh, there's Sass. Hey, Cecily.
She told me to take 20%. She's my new best friend. Thank you. I'll take it.
That's our best friend, man.
There you go. Thanks for joining the show tonight, Cecily. Appreciate it.
Ashley grew up with her. They got Children of the Corn stories they could tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. I'd love to hear that.
He was my horror buddy when we were kids.
Nice. That's always fun to have. I had a friend growing up named George, and we watched everything together. I mean, everything: wrestling, Star Wars, horror movies. Revenge of the Nerds.
I
You
was
watched
a
it
big
all.
WWF fan for a long time. I know
Yeah.
it's WWE now. That habit will never break.
Mhm.
I wasn't a World Wildlife Fund fan.
Right.
But like, you know, like
I was
I
so
remember
upset when that happened.
dude, get the F out. I remember
Yeah.
that shit. Like it was
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
when I stopped watching WWF.
Yeah.
To me, that's when it went to shit.
Dude, the best era for me, like, listen, I love the Hogans, the Flairs. I love that era. One of my favorite matches of all time, still to this day, is Savage Steamboat WrestleMania 3.
Oh my God, that's the best match ever. Yeah,
fantastic match.
I love that match.
But dude, I'm telling you, the Attitude Era when we had Shawn Michaels, you know, DX,
Oh yeah,
Steve
that's the
Austin, The Rock, Rikishi, the Too Cool. Like I love Too Cool. I was a huge Shawn Michaels fan. Huge Shawn. I cried at WrestleMania 13. He
literally cried when he retired.
Then when he retired, I cried. Bawled like a baby.
I was like,
WrestleMania 13, Steve Austin, when Mike Tyson hit him, I was like, that mother. You know what I mean? Like, I was into it, man.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
That was me and Ash. We watched all horror movies together.
Yeah, yeah. Because you know, Steamboat also had another classic match with Ric Flair at I think it was a Starrcade or one of those shows on NWA, WCW before they got kind of corny.
Yeah.
But that was another hell of a match. So Steamboat's had two, like at least two, like Savage Steamboat and Flair Steamboat were two of my favorite matches of all time of wrestling.
I mean, even though it's kind of cliche, man, the Iron Man match with Bret and Shawn was great.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a fantastic match.
Yeah.
Another match that doesn't get talked about a lot, and YouTube it if you don't remember it, because it was a fantastic match. Michaels and Cena had a Raw match in England that was an hour long.
Okay.
A non-title match that Michaels ended up winning after an hour long on Monday Night Raw. And it was, obviously Shawn Michaels could make anybody look good. And I'm not a John Cena hater. I think John Cena may possibly be one of the best men to ever walk this planet. The stuff he does with Make-A-Wish. Like, I think John Cena is the perfect example of how to be a great human being. But Shawn Michaels made him shine in this match. Like, it's still to this day, like, that match ended with John Cena going for the attitude adjustment, Michaels landing on his feet, hitting him with sweet chin music, and getting the cover. Like, oh, it was just such a phenomenal match.
Yeah. Another match that sticks out in my head a lot is Stone Cold Bret Hart. When Bret Hart had him in the sharpshooter and Stone Cold was bleeding and he would not give up and he just kept, the blood was just pouring down from all the pressure and he just would not give up.
Yeah.
That was a great match.
I just feel like those guys back then, they brought something to the ring that current wrestlers, I don't know if they can't or they just don't or what. I don't know what it is.
I think a lot of it also falls on the PG stuff they're trying to do now.
Yeah.
They don't have that ruthlessness that they're allowed to have. That Austin spot, because that was perfect for storytelling too, because that was a double turn.
Yeah.
You know, you had Austin turning face, Hart turning heel, but they would have never had that blood spot if that happened today. You know, they would have had him blade like that because he was, like you said, he was gushing. You know, and
they kind of frown upon people bleeding on people nowadays.
Yeah, apparently you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, well, and then you got AEW where they bleed every week, like every match. Like it's kind of like overkill with those guys. So I don't know what they're doing, but
I will say I'm all in on Cody Rhodes this weekend.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's this weekend or next weekend, right?
I think it's the weekend after this, the following weekend. Yeah.
I'm all in on Cody, man. I called it. I called both Rumble winners. I called Rhea and Cody.
Man, when
Rhea came out at number one, and I was like,
yeah,
damn it.
when he returned to WWE last WrestleMania, I marked out like a son of a bitch, man. I was like, because he had the same name, you know, they didn't change anything. They had the same music, and I'm like, this doesn't happen a whole lot in professional wrestling when you go from one organization to the other. Usually McMahon will try to change you or, you know, make him something like a clown or some stupid shit, but he left them exactly as is. Yeah, he left them exactly as is, and I love that. I marked out, man. I was like, oh, it was so good. So I'm rooting for him too, man. I hope he. I like what Roman Reigns is doing, but I just think like the story needs to end somewhere, and why not do it, you know, now and let's move on with something else.
The grandest page of them all.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I can't.
All right. We've got to get into some horror. I don't want to take you guys away from your wrestling, but I can see.
Right. I get all on a tangent and shit. You know?
Yeah, you can see how excited Ashley is right now.
Yeah, that's why we don't have a script here because I'm all over there. I'm squirrel all over the place.
No, one thing I want to ask you guys though is because at least in my opinion, Hollywood right now or the movie industry is like just remake fueled. Like it's like nothing but remake after remake. And although I do like some of like the horror remakes, especially, do you guys like them, or would you rather them give us something totally new?
Oh, I think it depends on which ones you're talking about. I mean, some remakes are good, and but I do like a new horror story. I do like to see new things, you know. So I think it just really depends. Like Child's Play. I know a lot of people hated that remake. I liked it. I really did.
So good.
Evil Dead. That remake was amazing.
So good.
One of my favorite.
Yeah, I think I like it better than the first one, honestly.
I do.
I'm trying to think of other remakes.
I'm gonna go on what she's saying, and I think that you do need that mixture of both.
Yeah.
And what I'll say to that point is every remake is beneficial. Even if you have the worst remake imaginable, people that have never heard of the first one will go and check it out now because of this remake. Hey, I didn't know there was an original. Let's check this out.
Yeah.
The sales on Halloween 1978 jumped up 48% when Halloween 2018 was announced because people wanted to go back and revisit it.
Well,
and I know this is a requel.
It's bringing the younger generation, into these older movies.
I was gonna say, like, people who weren't alive or that ever knew that these existed now know, because
or
now
even up that we want to go back and revisit them.
Right.
We went back and revisited the Exorcist franchise when they announced that they were doing.
The other night I watched Scream 1.
Yeah.
Because I want to watch Scream 6, so I want to watch them all before I go see it. And so that's what we did the other night, because my wife loves horror movies. Thankfully, she doesn't like Star Wars, but she loves horror. So
I know the feeling.
She's one for one. So we're okay. So that's good.
Yeah, she's batting 500, man.
You're
She's
doing
all
pretty
right.
good, I think. Yeah.
Well, actually, she hates wrestling, so she's 1 for 2. So she's under 500. But I'll
right
let her
there.
fly.
But my wife is a big baseball fan.
I
So
do
we're back
baseball.
to 500.
Oh yeah, my wife likes baseball too, and some football. So you're not all.
I'm a big baseball fan. But what original horror? What I was going to say about that? Original horror owns the cinema. Look at what Terrifier 2 did.
Oh yeah.
Look at what Skinamarink did. And Skinamarink was filmed Pearl X. But Skinamarink was filmed on a $15,000 Canadian budget. And look at what it made domestically. Terrifier 2 was filmed on like a $250,000 budget, and it made over $20 million. I mean,
crazy.
And neither one of these movies had a big marketing agency.
No,
there wasn't trailers everywhere.
I don't even think I seen a trailer for Terrifier 2.
No, when people said that it was in the theater, but people I heard people are like, "Did you hear?" People are like passing out. I'm like, they're playing Terrifier 2 in the theater. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I was the same way. I didn't know.
It spread like wildfire. And Terrifier 2, I'll say this: Terrifier 2 proved me wrong, made me look like an ass, because I said that we would never have another movie like The Exorcist that had people in the theater crying and puking and running out of the theater. And Terrifier 2 was like, hold my beer, Ken.
I'm not gonna lie, I was done with my popcorn after like some of it made my stomach turn. I was like, here, you can
the
have
possum,
like some of it was. I like blood and gore, like I love it, but
she's the gore horror in our
relationship. I totally am, like that, but
I'm
that
not.
was a lot.
See, I guess from being around blood and working in the operating room prior, I'm like, I could eat spaghetti while watching this. It doesn't really bother me.
I mean, I'm pretty much like that too. Like
I can't even eat if she's talking about it. I'm like, stop.
He gets so grossed out, and I'm like, you would hate to be with me at work, because me and all of my coworkers, we just talk about the grossest stuff while we're eating our lunch. Like, and I'm just so used to it.
That's why you're a real life hero. You save lives, and you can talk about that shit while eating. I can't even think about it. I want to die.
Exactly. I remember working in the hospital. We used to talk about all kinds of stuff: blood, shit, piss, all kind. I mean, sputum. I mean, it was all over the place at lunch, and I'm like, it was just like talking about a movie. We didn't even think it was weird at the time.
I don't know if I can think of like a more gruesome scene than that bedroom scene from Terrifier 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in my book, hands down, that goes down as the most gruesome, nastiest.
It's not every day you see an arm getting ripped off and then bent in a different position and snapped off like a chicken wing.
But then you're rubbing salt and they take it over.
He's just
like,
pouring it on, and it's
The
fucking
funniest
ridiculous.
part about it is David Howard Thornton is the sweetest guy.
I met him.
You
Yep.
Yeah,
can just tell,
he is
like,
just such a
he-
sweetheart, man.
But
Like
him and Elliot and Lauren Lavera were all super humble, sweet people when I met them at a horror con. All of them.
we were blessed to have him
Yeah.
on my first horror movie.
Yep.
Mhm.
And he talked to us for 20 minutes before. He talked to us for like 20 minutes
Oh, I
after.
think it was more than that. He was like all comfy in his bed,
Mhm.
and it was just we were having this conversation. He's like, "I'm sorry, it's late." I'm like, "We're good."
Yeah,
Like,
we're good.
Yeah,
we
we're
went to
having fun.
Horror Hound last year, and we walked up to the table. He was like, "Oh, Sledgehammer Horror," like he remembered us.
Yeah.
Wow, that's nice.
Amelie McLean, the young lady that played the little pale girl.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We've been friends with her and her mother for a very long time. We had her on my first horror movie episode when she did her very first film ever called Transference.
Mhm.
And we've grown with them, and watching what Amelie's become and what she has coming up. Like, I'm so excited for her. Like, she's a very talented young lady, and the sky's the limit, man, for her.
Yeah.
And you watch her in this movie and the little things she does, the faces she makes,
The
and
little neck turns and all that
Yes.
stuff, it's creepy shit. And she did a
Yeah.
great job. She really
Yeah.
did. She
it's
really
amazing
Especially
young people can act that well.
Mhm.
I was just gonna say, for being Elliot too, you got these very young kids
Mhm.
that are just killing it, man. Like
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
killing it.
Especially
and
Wade
he
with
is-
the black-
And he was such like a cool kid because he's telling us, like, as we're getting our autograph and our picture, he's like, he had an Ozzy Osbourne t-shirt on at the time.
Uh-huh.
And that's another one of I love heavy metal. I love Ozzy Osbourne. So I say to me and my buddy, we're like, yeah. So he's telling us all the movie posters in the movie were his movie posters from his room at home.
Oh, that's dope.
Oh, that's
But-
awesome.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool that, like, this kid, man, he's like, he does music and he loves music. He does these horror movies. Just a genuine bunch of people, man. And I keep saying it a lot. And I have nothing but respect for those guys.
What you were about to say about the Black Phone?
Oh, how that movie, it was, they held it up by two children. The kids are the ones that made that movie.
I like that movie, yeah.
Oh,
Some of the
it.
better movies of the last couple of years when it comes to grossing,
Mm-hmm.
the Black Phone was held up by Mason and Violet, or Madison. I'm sorry. And then you had Megan, which was held up by Amy Donald in the Megan suit, and then her sister Violet McGraw, which was Madison from the Black Phone, and the little girl from Megan are sisters in real life.
They can both
The
act
McGraw
really?
sisters.
so good.
Yeah. And then Skinamarink was held together by two kids.
Mm-hmm.
So you got all these movies that are held together by children,
Mhm.
and they're some of the highest grossing horror films we've had. Terrifier 2. Elliot, obviously Lauren, David, they all did a fantastic job.
Oh, yeah.
But Elliot, Amelie, these people are remembered for this film, and you have children that are carrying horror and making tons of money in these movies. Like that's amazing.
Mhm.
So the
cool.
future looks bright for horror, hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
With these kids
For
in it,
sure.
I hope it continues because, yeah, like you said, they're amazing what they do.
Yeah.
And just to be a kid and be in a movie like that and being able to do that kind of work is pretty impressive.
Well, it makes me really happy to see
Me too.
children actors that are good
Mhm.
and coming up, and I wish them the best because there's been, like, for a while, in my opinion, in Hollywood, like, most of the actors and stuff have all been like kids or someone related to somebody, and they play themselves and everything, and it's good to see, like, legitimately good actors coming up. Like,
For sure.
I really do hope for the best for them.
Definitely.
And like you hear stories like that Amelie tells about how nice and sweet Damien and David and all them are in between takes to comfort her, and
that was a freaking, that's a dark film to be a part of as a little girl.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like
it's not like it was back in The Exorcist. Like, hey, Linda Blair, take this crucifix and masturbate with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we have, now they make sure that the children are taken care of. They make sure that they're comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that's brilliant. People watch horror movies, and we'll always have a taboo-ness around horror.
Oh yeah.
Like, it'll always be taboo. I mean, come on. If you're going to tell me that Terrifier 2 didn't win the Oscar for special effects, lick a butt. There's no way that movie shouldn't have won an Oscar for that.
I mean, when are they going to recognize it?
Could you imagine, though, like David accepting an Oscar
In
as
his
Art the
clowns.
Clown?
Yeah,
Like,
he's like doing his little.
that
That would be amazing. I'd be
the best
there
thing
for
ever.
it.
Yeah, that would be fucking great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Unfortunately, they'll never let that happen because they
No, because horror is taboo, and it's unfortunate. But horror, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, and I'm not trying to, overstep my bounds. There's no genre that does practical effects like horror.
Oh,
No,
True.
no.
True.
To me, horror has the epitome of what practical effects are.
I mean, and look at what they did with the amount of money that they had. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah, and shit, most of the movies that win, I never even heard of them. I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck movie is that? I never heard of that shit. It's like some corny movie you never heard of. It's like,
right.
Obviously, I'm a Star Wars fan. Now, here's where I get backwards. In like your Marvel movies, your Star Wars movies, CGI is great in those movies.
Yeah.
It looks really, really good. Practical effects sometimes look a little wonky in those movies. Now, it's the total opposite for horror.
Yeah,
In
but they
horror,
have this huge budget too. Like the
no,
budget
I know.
probably twice as much.
Oh, absolutely. They have a $500 million budget because they're expected to bring in, $750 million. I get that. But with horror, it's the complete opposite. The practical effects always look so damn good, and the CGI always looks so wonky.
Yeah.
So like that's the flip of, if I'm watching a sci-fi movie, I want to be blown away by CGI. That's what I want. I want to feel like I'm in space. I want to feel like I'm in the middle of a lightsaber battle. When I'm in a horror movie, I want practical effects. I want to look like this guy's head just got ripped off. I don't want it to look, computer generated. So
right.
when people are like, "Oh, I hate CGI," I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa!" Don't say, absolutely
I hate
not.
CGI blood. Okay,
That's
CGI blood is so unnecessary and it looks horrible.
Yeah.
That's probably the cheapest thing to do.
Yeah,
it looks like
it looks
like
so
a
bad.
video game. Like,
Just give me old school slasher. That's what I like the best. I don't want, like, even in Terrifier 2, me and Colin say we don't really like the part with the knife, with the the magical kind of the ending part. I didn't really care for that part of it. They could have ended the movie 15 minutes prior, I think, without having that. It kind of ruined it for me. I didn't like that part. But.
Yeah.
I will say they could have cut easily a half hour to 45 minutes out of Terrifier 2.
Very long.
I was trying to be generous with 15 minutes, but yeah,
I do want to say
magical shit was like, it had to go. Like, don't do
this. This cannot get a follow up, but all I'm going to say is, people hated The Empire Strikes Back when it came out because of the ending, but when the next film came out, that ending made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Just remember that.
It's amazing how they did that too.
Just remember, Terrifier 2's ending may make a lot more sense and not look as stupid once you see what's coming up.
I'm hoping so, and I'm so curious to see what 3 is gonna be, anyways. Like where it's gonna. Because like right now I'm kind of like, are they gonna go a whole different direction?
Well, Damien has 5 written right now.
I know, it's crazy. Like
he could make up to 5. But he's obviously playing it safe. He added a lot to Terrifier 2 once they started to get the budget going. And now I believe either Blumhouse or A24 was in negotiations with him to pick up Terrifier 3. I hope we get a Blumhouse, because I think Blumhouse would be a lot more open to the gore. I think A24 would be more like trying to be. And you know what? I don't hate A24. Please don't think that that's what I'm saying.
No, I see exactly what you're saying, though. Like, just the feel for the two,
completely different production companies.
Yeah, Blumhouse feels more like a Terrifier type.
Right.
Yeah.
And A24, I'm so excited to see what they do with Crystal Lake.
I was gonna say they're gonna make Crystal Lake.
I'm very excited.
See what they do with that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I can't wait to see that too. Yeah.
A movie I want to recommend to you guys, if you haven't seen it yet, we're talking about, because something that I feel like we all feel as we get older is we get desensitized and horror doesn't scare us anymore. Last year, Ashley and I watched a movie that scared the shit out of us. It's called The Harbinger. Now, it's not the one with Madeline McGraw, not the little girl from the Black Phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
The cover has one like a plague doctor on it.
Yeah, plague doctor. Yeah, and like the wood.
Yes, it's like a plague doctor in the woods. This movie genuinely scared.
I was actually surprised at how much that it freaks me out.
Yeah, we got an early screener for it, and I've recommended it to every single person that I'm able to recommend it to. Like,
we did like a top 10 after that, or like
we did our top 10 favorite.
Scratch something.
We did our top 10 favorite movies of 2022. I scratched that went all the way up to number 3. Yeah, it was The Harbinger. Okay, that was my third. It only fell behind The Black Phone and Smile.
Yeah,
that's how much I liked. Smile was my favorite film of last year. I thought Smile was so brilliant. I thought Smile. I went into Smile with the lowest
Oh, yeah.
expectations possible. I thought it was going to be
like
a goofy,
another Truth or Dare. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be, but I went in. That's another movie that I was just like, wow, like this is an amazing take on mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
And Sosie Bacon is just so good.
She is really good.
And they just
signed on for the second time last night, actually.
Really?
They just signed on for a sequel. Paramount just signed on for a sequel to Smile. So
is the one you're talking about? It's a 2022 movie. Is that another one? Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna watch that. Yeah.
Please definitely. Text me after you watch it. Let me know because I don't want to get too spoilery with it, but there's a reason why it scared me.
It's more of like a psychological.
Yes. Death isn't what's scary in the movie. That's all I was saying. The villain doesn't kill you.
It's not really like
okay.
It doesn't rely
no
on
jump
scares and stuff like that. It's just
pure anxiety,
psychological.
And the thought, what if this was to really happen?
Your head.
What I have a family. You know what I mean? Like it's good. Like it's very, and it's one of the movies that I commend it for because it was filmed during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And they wrote COVID into the story and they made it make sense. It wasn't well, let's do this to be pandering to people. It actually makes it make sense. They use that story in a very smart way, but it doesn't take away from that's not the villain.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a huge villain at play here, but it's wrapped around that. Mm-hmm. So it's good. I was so blown away by how good this movie was.
I'm definitely gonna check it out.
I agree with you. I wasn't expecting to like that movie as much as I did either.
Yeah, it's like I said, the thought of dying isn't as bad as what could happen in this movie. Like that's the big thing for me.
Shit, I want to watch it tonight.
It's so good, man.
Yeah,
it was so good. We watched the screener, and when it came out, we bought it digitally just to support Andy in his filmmaking. You know what I mean? Like, like we have to own this.
A non-spoiler.
Yep, we did a non-spoiler review on it. Because that's the director hit us up. It was like, hey, I like what you guys do. Would you be willing to cover this? And there's plenty of times where that happens, and we're like, yeah, your movie was good. Because we'll never poo-poo anybody. Like I said, if you're making art, we're going to try our hardest to find the positives.
You got to find a positive in it somehow.
Right. But this movie, I genuinely was like, dude, anything you ever do, hit me up. Because I was a huge fan of his first film, The Witch in the Window. Okay. I thought that was great. It was a Shudder exclusive, and I really liked it. I thought it had a great ending to it. Same thing, not a lot of jump scares. It was just focused on the anxiety and the what ifs, and you have children brought into it. And I thought that was great. The Witch in the Window, and then we go from that to The Harbinger. And I'm so excited to see what he has coming up next. Yeah. Like, I can't wait to see what this guy's going to do next. How do you follow up these two movies, man?
Well, I wrote down Harbinger. I'm going to check that one out. It's probably going to be another one of those cases where I see, like, the cover of it, and I'm like, oh, that's what he's talking about?
I haven't seen Witch in the Window either, honestly. I'm not going to say
it's another really good one.
Yeah, I just put that in my computer, too, because I want to make sure I don't forget the name of these goddamn movies. But
I watched another movie you actually recommended one time, and I can't remember the name of it right now. I know they're like on a bar, like on a farm. It was
The Dark and the Wicked.
That one. I watched that late one night, and I was, God damn it.
That's another good one.
That one is so dark. And...
You know what, Ashley? Hold on. You know what Ashley just got me? Check this out.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
No. That. I didn't even know that came in.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
You got a custom made Dark and the Wicked shirt for me because of how much I love that movie.
Nice.
That's another movie that I was so obsessed with after we watched it. Like, we watched that movie at like 1 in the afternoon, and I was like, oh my God. This fucking... to be fair, to put an asterisk on it, my mother had recently passed when we had watched it, so it hit a little probably closer to home than it should have. But that's another movie where I think the ending is so great. The very little jump scares you have are effective.
Yeah, the shower scene.
Oh,
yeah,
man, good.
Yeah, it's just so dark though. Like the whole time, you just feel this like eeriness the whole entire time.
Yeah, seriously, like when you're watching it, you always feel like something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But like he said, it's like a perfect amount. Like exactly. Like it's crazy.
That's to me is when a movie is the scariest. When I'm sitting there saying, will you please just get the jump scare out of the way?
Well, that's like
will you please do the
Smile.
jump scare so I can just relax for a little bit? And
Smile.
it never does.
Smile is the same way. It lingers. Like this eeriness lingers, and it's like I need some.
Please break the tension.
Some tension breaker, please. Yes, and then they don't give it to you, and then you're like, come on.
Yeah, please just break the tension.
Yeah.
Those are the scariest movies to me, man.
Yeah, for sure.
And I grew up pretty religious. So, like religious type horror, like The Dark and the Wicked, that's another reason why it scared me so much, because I grew up with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the part where Michael's like talking about how he doesn't believe in God and doesn't believe in the devil, and the preacher's like, if a wolf tells you he ain't a wolf, you think you're still safe to go in the woods? I'm like, damn. Preacher burn. You need some holy water for that burn?
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of movies on Tubi. They're free movies. Yeah. And there's a lot of like
Ashley and Eisen is in on Tubi.
It is. Yeah.
There's a lot of like lower budget independent horror movies there. Like I've been watching a lot of ones where like I think one was called Cabin 28 or something like that. I forget the names of them. But like the scariest ones for me are like, so these, they go to the wood, they go to this cabin, and then somebody knocks at the door in the middle of the night. That's creepy shit right there for me. Like that's old school for me. Like that can really happen. Some of the other wild shit, that's not going to happen. But you get that knock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That shit, man. Anybody, like, even me tonight at 2 a.m, I get a knock. I'm a little freaked out,
Well, I think The Strangers is terrifying because they're like, why us? And they said because you were home,
Right.
And that is so like that's just terrifying.
And who wrote and directed The Strangers? Brian Bertino, the same guy that did The Dark and the Wicked.
Yep.
There you go.
So I agree, and I just want to tell you a funny story. While I'm talking about Tubi and St. Gabriel. So for those of you that don't know, I'm also an actor, and we went to be on set for this TV show I was going to be in called St. Gabriel. And it's a mafia style supernatural. It's so dope. It's on Tubi. It's called St. Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
And we're on set and, we're getting ready to film. And we get a phone call and an actress isn't going to show up. She's not going to be there. And she's an essential part of the film. She's a waitress in the scene, which is a huge part of the scene. So, guys, we don't know if we're going to film tonight. We're missing an actress. I was like, Ashley will do it.
I was like, no, I won't.
She was like, shut the fuck up.
I'm not doing it.
I was like, I already offered. She'll do it, guys.
No.
So we take her, we get her in makeup, we get her a costume and everything.
Like, I'm so mad at you right now.
And dude, I'm at the sidelines watching her in between takes, and I'm just like cheerleading.
He's an enabler, huh?
I'm the introvert. I was so nervous. I was like, why?
And dude, she killed it.
He's an enabler. He keeps talking you into these things, and now look at you. See, now you're a movie star. Look at you.
Yeah.
She was so good.
You never know until you do it.
Yeah.
Another thing we can't talk too much about it, but we just landed a role in a movie coming up that is not a horror movie, and it's a drama. It's a total drama. I'm talking Lifetime movie drama, and Ashley and I are in it. We're not starring in it, but we have pretty big roles, and we're not married, so it's gonna be it's gonna be different. We're very excited
fights
for
on the
it,
set, huh? Don't kiss them. Don't kiss my woman. None of that bullshit tonight.
It's gonna be gonna be epic. We're reading the script and I'm crying at the end. Like I'm literally like crying. I'm like we got to do this.
Yeah,
we have to be a part of this.
That's awesome. I'm happy for you. Yeah, that'd be a dream come true, man. I would love that shit. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's so much fun.
It is when you're on set. It's a blast. And I do want to say, for those of you that have Amazon Prime, there's a movie on there right now called Killer Piñata, which is exactly what you think it is.
It is.
And the sequel, Bride of Killer Piñata, is going through the festival circuit now. It went through the theatrical circuit. That'll be on. We're tentatively shooting towards the middle to the end of the year, and I'm in that one. And if you are a fan of practical effects, you will be a huge fan of my part in Bride of Killer Piñata. It was a lot of fun. We had to spend a lot of time in makeup. But we had a blast.
Yeah.
We traveled from we live in Michigan. We traveled to Illinois for that one. And it was a ripping good time.
Oh, so you guys aren't far from me. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Yeah, man. We're just about an hour south of Detroit, Michigan.
Yep.
Oh, all right. Yeah, not far at all.
I'm far.
Have you always been into acting? Like.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've acting's been. All right, she'll be right back. We got to do parent thing for a minute.
Sorry.
I've
Come back.
always been. I went to school for it. I went to school for audio video production. For those of you that are watching, if you haven't seen it, if you go to Sledgehammer Horror on YouTube and hit the subscribe button,
And the like.
the
And the
short
bell.
film, and I have a poster for it actually that actually made me because it meant a lot to me.
I think we just got plumber's crack on screen. We can't have that. I'm just kidding.
Sorry, I just drove away all your female viewers.
Yeah. No, you just drew them in, I guess, and they're just showing up by the flocks.
Home is
Oh,
where
that's
the
cool.
haunt is. The very first short film that I ever wrote. Ashley and I wrote it. We directed it. Starred in it.
That's cool.
That's on YouTube right now. That was an adventure. It was a great time. We had 4 days to shoot this film. Listen, okay, I'm sorry. All right.
Had to. Sorry.
I'm a dad now. I'm geriatric. That shit happens.
Right.
There's no shame when you're a dad. There you go.
Yeah, it was amazing. My son was in it. My best friend growing up, Bill, he was in it.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter was in it. Ashley was in it. And it's a fictionalized retelling of my mother's death. My mom passed away in her sleep. We don't know what happened. We never got, the coroner couldn't figure it out, which I know sounds weird. They ended up ruling it as an enlarged heart.
Mm-hmm.
But the house that my mother had moved into, before she had moved into it, the people previous moved out because they were pruning trees and a tree fell and landed on their child and killed it. And, so that we took all this and we fictionalized it into a horror movie.
Okay.
And what is going on in this house and what is keeping people in the house. And I know that I'm not explaining it very well because I don't want to spoil it, but we had 3 days we went in with a week schedule, and they told us when we got there on Friday, they were bulldozing the house on Monday. So we were like, oh, so, is it the best made thing ever? No, but we had 3 days to film it with iPhones. Right. And I'm still so proud of how it turned out. We had to cut out about 20 minutes worth of backstory of the mother and stuff, but I still think the finished product, I'm so proud of how it turned out, man.
Good, man. Good.
Yeah. I mean,
that's great.
Some of the best movies are movies that are low budget movies. I mean, if the story's there, to me, that's matters.
It's coming from a true story, that's even, more attracting to some viewers too, so.
That's what I was hoping for. I was just hoping to have a fun.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of good feedback about how scary. There's a couple of good jump scares in it that I didn't know were going to be as good of jump scares as they were.
Mm-hmm.
But they ended up, the score. A good friend of mine, Matthew, he wrote the score, and it just turned out really cool, man. I've always been a big punk rock fan, big emo fan. There was a band I loved growing up called The Anniversary, Midwest emo band, and their singer Josh Berwanger donated one of his songs to the film. So which was cool for me. This guy that I grew up idolizing.
Right.
So if you guys haven't, Home is Where the Haunt Is. Check it out on YouTube. I would love, especially you guys. I would love your guys' feedback on what you think.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely be checking that out then.
I'm gonna punch it in right now.
Here.
Sorry, I'm just punching that in.
No, you're fine. It's just obviously I like to promote my work, but I respect you guys. I'm glad you guys invited us on, so I would love to know what you think of it, even if don't sugarcoat it. If Ken, this was a piece of shit. Okay. Thank you for watching that.
I doubt that.
Yeah, I highly doubt that as well. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out. Yeah.
That's on. Yeah, I got a whole list going here now. I'm excited. I'm excited.
I know, dude, that's the bad thing about doing a podcast with us, because the whole time I'm like, you gotta check this out. You gotta check this out. I'm that guy. Like I'm super.
Yeah, but that's like my favorite part about this stuff, because you're talking to people from different parts of the country or wherever, and then they see things you don't see. Whatever.
Yeah.
This is what's fun about doing this.
A few weeks ago, we had Drew Marvick on, and we were rattling through all his movies that he did, and Jesus, like me and him were like writing all these movies down that we have to like watch now, because they were all on his on his list, and I'm like, damn,
And
I don't have enough time for this.
it's crazy because like I've seen a lot of movies. I mean, that's what I've been into since as long as I can remember. And there's so much out there that it just shows how possible it is that you just cannot.
Well, that's what I was telling my wife the other night. Like when we put on Tubi, I'm like, I never heard of any of these movies, like none of them. Yeah. And I'm a big horror guy, and I haven't heard of any of these movies.
I showed my butt crack on accident.
Oh, nice. I'm sure everyone enjoyed that.
My geriatric ass trying to get up. I'm sorry again, guys, for my wardrobe malfunction.
That's all right.
I mean, you know what they say. It fucking figures it would happen here.
Yeah. Right. And you know what? You did show your figure, so it fits. You know? Hey, whatever.
What's a podcast without
an ass crack?
A flash?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's our first ass crack flash. You know?
Yeah,
we got to funnel viewers in somehow, right?
Yeah, it's a momentous day with the first butt crack live on YouTube on Well That Different Figures.
Wow, it was yours.
I want to say on behalf of Dr. Pepper Zero, I accept this so proudly. I didn't even write anything. I don't know what I'm gonna do here. I've had it my whole life. It's something I was born with. Even when I wanted to give it away, I couldn't because I had it. I just want to thank everybody for coming along on the ride.
The hair just showed up one day out of nowhere. Sorry about that too. You know. Well, see, horror can win something. There you go.
See, exactly.
We made it happen tonight.
Yeah, because everybody was terrified. There was the jump scare you didn't know was coming.
Right. Well, we'll use that for the thumbnail.
Right.
There you
just
go.
my ass.
Like maybe a little noise.
Just put the little like the air.
Little air. Yeah.
And then the logo.
Was there any is there something like an upcoming horror movie coming up that you just cannot wait for? Because like me and my son, we're my son's really into Five Nights at Freddy's. We're really waiting for that one.
Oh yeah. Our son used to be in it.
Did
like
your son
hardcore.
Did your son watch Willy's Wonderland?
Yes, we have that.
I loved that. I'm very excited. But Evil Dead Rise.
I can't wait for that.
Oh yeah,
I watch the commercials for it. I'm like, I can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm very excited about that. Season 3 of Chucky comes out this year. I'm super stoked on that.
Yeah, I enjoy that too. I really like that. I know a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people didn't like it, but I don't know. I kind of like you guys said, we like to find the good in everything. That's kind of how I've always been too.
Yeah.
Well, when I go into I feel like a lot of people go into watch something now looking for a reason not to like it.
Yeah.
And we're the opposite. Like we go in, I want to be entertained. And I'm going to give you every benefit of the doubt to entertain me and make me enjoy this.
Well, you have to go into it knowing what it is.
Exactly.
You know? Like
if you go into Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
That's what I was going to say. And you're thinking you're going to get this, sophisticated slasher. Like, come on, guys. Like, it is what it is. Like, cut him some slack.
Yeah.
Right. Well, like I always say, because like for instance, I'm a huge Predator fan. I've collected Predator stuff my entire since I've been old enough to know what it is. Whatever. Like people bitch about like them doing a new Predator movie. I'm like, being such a fan of that, I just like new content. Anyways, even if it turns out to be bad, I don't care. At least I got to see something new from it. You know, like I don't know.
Prey was phenomenal.
Favorite movie of the year last year. Like I love that. And
dude,
I am not you can hate me for this, but I'm not the biggest Predator fan. But Prey, I loved it.
Here's something that I want to say, and I'm not going to get political right now, but woke. Word is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. And people are like, oh, it's woke horror. Listen, in 1930, they did Freaks, which had a message of being,
where they literally used disabled
people. They
people.
literally used disabled and disfigured people in this movie to show you that the real freaks are the people that look down on them. Horror has had a political and, subject matter since 1930. And, I had somebody tell me straight up, and I'm not exaggerating right now, they didn't like the new Candyman movie because it went woke.
It was woke.
I was like, have you fucking seen the first one?
Yeah, for real. Right. Did they not see the first one?
In the first one, Helen literally has a line of dialogue where she says, black people are killed in Cabrini Green every day, but a white woman gets assaulted in the bathroom and the cops are there 10 minutes later. In 1993.
Right.
Okay. Like, people just look for, like I was saying, people look for a reason to get offended and pissed ooff at anything. If anything has any type of message. Tales from the Hood in 1995. Go back and rewatch that movie. The whole movie's a political message. It's a political statement.
Mhm.
Horror has always had a political or a cultural statement in everything it's done.
Yeah.
Girls in 1970, 1980 were kicking the shit out of the men. You had women at the forefront of horror back then.
Mhm.
Obviously you still had like the bimbos and the topless stuff, which, it is what it is. But they still had your final girl, your Laurie Strodes, your Nancy's, your, like that was still the forefront of horror, was the fact that these final girls were beating the hell out of your villains.
Black Christmas,
Black Christmas, 1976.
Yeah.
She tells her boyfriend,
I'm not having this baby.
I'm not having this baby. I'm going to have an abortion.
That was back in the time where that was not okay.
Right. And you're not going to stop me.
Barefoot and pregnant. And,
Yep. You're supposed to be a slave to your man. And she's saying, I'm going to have an abortion. This is not your body. You don't determine around it.
I'm not going to stop my plans because of this.
Yes. Later in the movie, he's like, I failed, so we're leaving college. And she's like, you failed.
Yeah.
You can go. I'm not changing my plans because yours fell through. Horror has always empowered women, and I love it. Horror has always been on the forefront of the LGBTQ plus community. Horror has always been, in 1968, you had Dwayne, a black man, saving Barbara, a white woman, in Night of the Living Dead. And George Romero's talked about, he didn't go into that movie to cast a black man in the role, but Dwayne came in to play the role of Ben, and he had the best audition. And George Romero was like, that's our guy. That's the guy we're going to do. And then 10 years later, Dawn of the Dead is all about consumerism and how that controls us as people. In 1978, like I said, political and satire messages have always been a thing in horror.
Yeah.
And now it's woke. No, it's not. Stop saying that.
One of my favorite movies of all time is People Under the Stairs. I love it.
Oh, man.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, I love that one.
You haven't gotten a remake of that.
And that kid was so good in it, man. Like,
He's
oh
cool.
my God.
Jordan Peele is working on it.
Yeah, Jordan Peele's producing it.
I've heard that. Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what he does with it. Like I have high hopes because it's Jordan Peele, but I think whoever they cast is gonna make it or break it. Yeah, one of my favorite horror movies of all.
That's a good one. That is definitely a good one. Yeah.
It's
probably about time I watch that again, to be honest, because I haven't seen it in quite some time. So I might have to revisit
that
it.
movie is all about gentrification. Like the whole movie is about gentrification and Wes Craven. Look at all the things that he's done that were so ahead of his, so ahead of the time. John Carpenter's the same way. These people knew that they wanted to put in what was going on in the United States of America at that time frame in their films, but make them a horror movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have their political statements or they have their messages, but they're horror movie first.
Yeah.
When you watch The People Under the Stairs, when you watch The People Under the Stairs, Daddy is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, he is.
It's
and the boys underneath, they scared me when I was younger.
That's one thing I remember from my childhood is like the light coming through the cracks in the boards. Like that's one thing that really scared me as a kid, like horror, like genre related. I'll never forget that.
Well, I think the reason we got started on that is because Prey. People were like, I'm not going to watch Prey because they made it woke with a minority woman. Prey was so much into what it was doing. They had people on set that were Native American. Yeah. And it wasn't just like one consultant to be like, don't do that, that's racist. They had so many different people to make it as authentic as they possibly could. And you can even watch it with, I can't remember the name of the tribe. I'm so sorry, and I don't want to be a piece of shit. But whatever tribe it was, you can watch it with that language overdubbed over top. Like, that's how far they went into making sure this movie was 100% authentic. That to me is respectful. If you want to call me woke because I say that something is respectful and polite and kind, sure, I'm woke. But they wanted to make sure they were making it like
that because I thought that was so cool that they did that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. Like, and the movie's fantastic.
I loved it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I watched it for you. I went into it like
the only thing,
but yeah, I loved it.
The only thing that I wish was different is I wish we could have seen it in the cinema.
Oh yeah.
I wish that would have got a cinematic release.
That would have been
amazing. Could you imagine like the crowd erupting, like when you have like Naru and that tiger on the the tree, or like, oh my gosh, like, and I love how the Predator looked, like how he looks even more bear down.
Mhm.
Yep.
You know, he's got the skull head instead of the metal. You know, like
Yeah.
he looks like it just
Well, yeah, he looks like it was an older
right.
version
All the
of
attention
him.
to detail they had in
Yeah,
that film.
it's awesome.
So good, man.
Mhm.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's an underrated film, and it's a horror film. Like I've always had the Predator as a horror film. The
Oh,
first
yeah.
Predator is
It's
a
an
total.
alien that skins you, and yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
horror. Yeah.
I'll die on the hill.
When I
first
watched
Predator
Prey
movie.
that day, I watched it, I finished it. I was like so blown away by like how much I enjoyed it. I didn't think I actually enjoyed it that much, and I had to watch it again and be like, okay, yes, I really like this.
And not only did they do good, but they had little bits of fan service. Like we're literally laying in a motel room watching this on an
I know
iPad.
what you're gonna say.
And when her brother was like, "If it bleeds, we could kill it," I was like, "Oh, they said the line!"
Yeah.
You know, like I'm going nuts in the motel room.
Yep.
But another hill that I'll die on forever: the first Predator film and the first Terminator film are total slashers. Those movies are absolutely slashers. I mean, look at what the Predator does. You know, he goes around skinning people.
Yeah, he's
you
keeping
know,
people alive.
you
That's
look
horror.
at the T-800 in the first Terminator film. He goes through the phone book and kills every Sarah Connor.
Well,
Right.
He wears a mask to cover his real identity. Like it's a total slasher, man. It's a sci-fi slasher, but those are total slasher films, and I will die on the hill that the T-800 and the Terminator are both 100% slasher films, and I love them both so much.
Well, yeah. Those kill scenes with Predator too, like you grab him by the spine and rip the whole spine and the skull out, like ooh, like yeah. Oh, hands down. Yeah.
When he
We
blows
need
off
that
Apollo
again,
Creed's
yeah.
arm and it's still shooting, yes,
Yeah.
I love Apollo Creed. You can go Lando in that too, but when he
Yeah.
blows, you know, his arm off, like, oh, so good.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we're getting up on that hour, and I know you got another show to do soon. So, plug yourself. Tell us a little bit more about it. You know, this time is yours before we go.
Me?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Follow us on Twitter at Sledgehammer Horror, HOR, Instagram and Facebook at Sledgehammer Horror, YouTube at Sledgehammer Horror. We do My First Horror Movie, where I bring guests on to talk about the first horror movie they watch and how it affected them. We also do a live once a week. Like they just said, we'll be going live at 9 o'clock Eastern to talk about our favorite horror movies from 2000 to 2009. And then Ashley writes a couple segments.
We have a segment called Didn't See That Coming, where we watch a movie with a twist and talk about how that affected us. And then we have a segment called Versus, where we take an original versus a remake and talk about, different things that we like from both movies. And then we usually tell which one we liked more. So.
And next Saturday, April 1st, or maybe it's the next Saturday after that, Saturday, April 1st, we'll be premiering our brand new segment called In Defense Of, where we bring on a guest and we defend a movie that is not very loved in the horror community. And our first episode, Ashley wasn't a part of this one because she couldn't defend the movie.
I couldn't defend the movie, so I was like, count me out.
We are joined by a great friend of the show, Josh Eppard, the drummer for the amazing band Coheed and Cambria, to talk about one of my favorite films of all time, Jason Goes to Hell, and why it is actually one of the best films in the Friday the 13th franchise. So
I'll have to watch that one.
Yep. And then coming up, I'm not going to say who the guests are, but we will be doing...
We have Seed of Chucky. Halloween Resurrection.
Child's Play 3.
Yeah.
And the Nightmare on Elm Street remake will be coming up on In Defense Of as well. So very excited for you guys to check that out.
Definitely. We will continue to support. We love what you're doing.
Thank you.
We can't thank you enough for coming on, giving us your time. You're welcome back anytime.
Literally, we will do this anytime.
So
you guys were great.
Yeah, we'll have to set it up again because we could talk all day long.
Yeah, this hour went by way too fast. We'll have to do it again. I know Ashley's a busy woman with her job, but we got to figure this out because we definitely want to talk to you guys again.
Oh, well, and for those of you watching, these gentlemen will be on a future episode of My First Horror Movie. We will be writing that out tomorrow, so I'm very excited about that as well. So, I invited you guys before we even did this, and now I'm even happier I invited you guys because this was an amazing time, and I can't wait to hear how horror started for you as well.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, definitely.
Yeah, for
sure.
I
love that segment you guys do, so I'm happy to be a part or going to be a part of it.
It's very exciting, and we appreciate that. But
it's my honor, man.
So we'll continue to support. We love what you're doing. Definitely, man. It's kind of we could build something here, so that'll be cool. That'd be a nice thing to do, man. So thank you both. We'll be back here next Sunday at a different time than normal at 3 p.m. Eastern with the Final Girls. Not one, not two, not three, but all six.
All six
of the
I
Final
love it,
Girls
man.
horror.
Love the Final Girls. They're great.
We're gonna be filled here on the screen next Sunday, 3/26 at 3 p.m. Eastern. So we can't wait to have them on. That should be a really fun time too.
Anna, Tara, Sean, Selena, they're amazing, man.
We can't wait. Yeah,
you guys are gonna love them to death. They are the most genuine. That Ashley and I love them to death. They are so great.
Yeah, we can't wait for that. So next Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern, Final Girls. You guys can hang out for 1 second backstage, and we'll say our goodbyes. But for everybody in the chat, everybody listening on Apple Podcast, everybody listening on Spotify, everybody that joined us tonight, thanks for being so interactive, and we'll see you Sunday. And for now, that's what effing figures. Good night, everybody.
Later, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.